out there tonight?
Well, you stumped me now.
Check out our website, MannimalResearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight, everyone? Glad you guys could join us. Those of you that will be watching us live tonight, and those of you that will catch it later, we sure do appreciate it. As you guys notice, once again, second Thursday in a row, I am Wallsless. It will just be myself tonight, bringing you guys our very special guest. So, excuse me. Walls is having to work over again tonight. I guess his work's picking up a little bit. Can't fault him for that. But yeah, we'll get through it. Always seem to. As always, guys, want to ask, if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button. We certainly would appreciate your support. And if you've already done so, tell other people so they can do it too. Get done tonight, head over to MannimalResearch.com. Check out our website over there. Get some excuse me. Get some information about our group. Get some info on getting out in the field, doing some research yourself, maybe even becoming a member of Mannimal. I'd love to talk to you about that. That's also a good place to get in touch with Walls, myself, and report your encounter. If you'd like to come on the show and share what has happened to you, your experiences, we would love to talk to you, give you the opportunity to do that. And as always, we can respect your anonymity. If you don't want anybody to know who you are, we have ways of protecting that. But yeah, the important thing is, guys, to get your story out there. Said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. The only way we're going to learn about these things right now is through people that have encountered them, people that have witnessed them firsthand. We don't have one anywhere to study that we know of right now. So learning about these things is important to a lot of people, and it's right now it's the only option we have, is talking to people that have experienced them. So yeah, guys, check out MannimalResearch.com. Also, we are on Facebook. Everybody's got one, so just run on over and join our group. And as always, I feel like there's going to be some questions tonight. We will talk about our guest here in just a second, but guys, if y'all have any questions for him, feel free. But if you do, please put those questions in all caps so that I can see them, recognize them, and get to them. Especially tonight, guys, it's going to be really, really hard. I'm not going to see all the questions. I'm already behind in comments right now because it's just hard to do a live show like this with one person. So, guys, bear with me if I don't get to your question. If you want to ask it again, just make sure it's in all caps. That's a good way to get my attention. And I believe it was yesterday, released our latest Mannimal Encounters video. A couple of really good encounters that were sent in. People are still sending in those encounters. Guys, we need more, though, to continue to put those little short segments out that we do. One complaint I've had about it, about the Mannimal Encounters, is they're not quite long enough. Our show, the two shows that we do Sunday and Thursday night, they're an hour. We go over an hour a little bit. So it really is on purpose that the Mannimal Encounters is shorter, because I did read somewhere a while back that after around 15-20 minutes, you start to lose people's attention. So on little videos like that, sharing encounters, I want to keep them around 15 to 20, 25 minutes maybe. So that's why I'm doing it. So if I can keep them around 20 minutes, I'll be happy. But we got to have people send them in. Send in those encounters. Doesn't have to be just Bigfoot. You know, we are primarily a Bigfoot channel, but you know, we've talked about Dogman, UFO, paranormal stuff like that. If it's weird, guys, send it in, and I'll share it with the people, and just get some entertainment out of it, and at the same time learn some stuff. So yeah, guys, send those over to manimal.encounters@yahoo.com. Manimal.encounters@yahoo.com. And as always, guys, Manimals has 2 N in it. MANN. All right. All of that out of the way. Let's talk about tonight's guest. Tonight, I am so very honored and pleased to be bringing y'all Mr. M.K. Davis. I was explaining to Mr. Davis before we came on tonight that he has been on my short list of people that I would love to talk to really since I started the show back in February of last year. Just really impressed with the work that he does. The way he breaks down his videos. Got some of the most interesting stuff on the Patty film that you're going to see. He's really meticulous in how he breaks the stuff down, and I appreciate it. I love watching this stuff, and I'm actually we're going to share one of his videos tonight and let him talk about it. And Patty is the Patterson Gimlin film is the holy grail. I think that we would all agree with that. But right up there with it is one of the videos that he has put out, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So yeah, we'll be sharing that, and we'll get him to talk about it and anything else that's been going on with him. So yeah, guys, if you have any, MK is cool. You're right. If you have any questions that you'd like for Mr. MK, send them over. I'm sure that he won't mind answering them. Class act, MK is. You're right about that, Mr. Duffy. And Mr. Duffy, Illinois Sasquatch, Bigfoot Research Evidence Podcast, Bomber. Got Duke in the house. What's up, Duke? A lot of our regulars are here to see what MK's got going on. All right, guys, if you guys are ready, we will go ahead and bring him on. Mr. Davis, sir, how are you?
Well, I'm fine. How about yourself?
Doing well, sir.
Great.
Once again, want to thank you very much for taking the time to come on and doing this with us. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on too. It's always good to talk a little Sasquatch and see what's happening out there on the Sasquatch. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I was teasing a little bit, telling the people about one of my favorite all-time Bigfoot videos out there, and that video is one that you captured, was the the fence climber. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that, and if you don't, we're going to be sharing it in a minute. You can talk about it. If you don't mind, would you talk a little bit about the backstory that went into that? I know that there are other videos that are attached to that property. You were telling me a little bit about it before we came on, but for our viewers, would you mind going over that, please?
Oh, not a bit. There were 4 different researchers that were regularly researching on this. It was a subsistence farm in East Texas. And it had begun kind of quietly, with little small subtle things, and they were eventually able to work it. And if, for lack of a better word, they would try to figure out ways to stimulate or provoke reactions, and finally they were pretty clever about it. They would put up cameras And at first they put up game cams, standard game cams of the day, which had film, not digital. And then they moved to camcorders, and the camcorders, they kept getting a lot of reactions behind the camera, but not in front of the camera. They could hear walking, that sticks popping, things like that. So one of them got the idea to film into a mirror. So they got a big dresser mirror and just set the camera up in front of it and just filmed into the mirror. And they began to get things then. The fence climber was not done that way. It was done just with a standard camera setup. But a lot of their stuff, they used the mirror. But the fence climber in particular is only a small clip in a much larger video. If you watch the entire video, it lasts for a good long while, 30, 40 minutes. And there is more than one Sasquatch in it. There's a white one and a brown one, besides the one that we call the fence climber. The fence climber, that clip I clipped it out because it was the clearest and the closest. Which it was shot with security cameras. And security cameras of that day, they're always a little bit on the fuzzy side. So when I saw, kind of the goings on it, I did some work on it to try to sharpen it and make it easier to see. I was quite taken aback by it. I didn't understand everything that was going on with it until I got an explanation from one of the researchers. Once I got that, then I fully understood, what they were doing. Some months prior to the taking of the video, they had noticed that there were tires that had been thrown off of a bridge way back on the back side of the property, and these tires were being moved around at night. And so they just got a logging chain and chained the tires together, and it provoked a reaction. And so they set up cameras, and you could hear this thing throwing the tires around, angrily. And so they began to move these tires here or there, and they pulled them up into a tree, and hung them up in a tree, and the entire tree was pushed down, and the tires were made off and stayed gone for a while, and then they came back. They brought them back.
Wow!
But they became like an obsession, and so eventually they moved the tires into all the way up to the farmhouse and into the garden. And that's where you see the fence climber at. And that the Bigfoot that goes along the fence, he's going to the tires.
Okay.
But he hears guinea fowl open up. If you've ever heard guinea fowl, they're very loud. And when he hears those guinea fowl open up, he comes running back down the fence and jumps over the fence, and he's gone back into the woods. So that's what you see there. It's in reaction to the guinea fowl, and him and the other two Sasquatch had an ongoing feud or fight over these tires. And that's what he was doing, was trying to run in there and get them. And when he ran in there, the guinea fowl opened up, and he took off back down the fence line and jumped over the fence. And it's a story that you couldn't make it up.
Yeah. The video that I'm going to be sharing, and we'll do that here in just a second, is the one that you kind of superimposed yourself standing next to the fence
Right, right.
and show like a size comparison. Now, I don't remember hearing, but did you guys take a size comparison? Do you have an idea about how tall it was?
Well, the fence that he went over was a 5-strand fence. In other words, the top of the fence post had a strand on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it would go up to about my neck, where my neck and chest meet, and I'm 5'8".
And he just stepped over it.
He just stepped over. And also when he goes down that fence line, um, that fence is about that tall too. And if you look, he's bent over and his back is even with that fence.
Uh,
So
let's go ahead and
I mean,
show it.
that tells you right there that it's something extraordinary, and it's not just someone in a suit.
Yeah. If it's somebody in a suit, it's a very large person in a suit.
Yeah, well, the problem with the suit in that particular, am I still there?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're here. Go ahead.
Yeah. The problem with the suit is that if you were going to create a suit, you would have to create a lot of suits on that property. There was a small Bigfoot that climbed a tree that was no more than 3 feet tall, and then there was a really really tall one that probably exceeded 10 feet. And then they had the fence climber, and then they had a solid white one. This is on a subsistence farm where the guy worked all day at Kimberly Clark, and came home and fed cows and the chickens and slopped the hogs and kept his farm going afterward. He didn't have a lot of time to make a lot of suits, and then to wear them. It's easier to believe that it's probably Sasquatch, on the territory.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go ahead and play this.
Okay. You hear those guinea fowl?
Yeah.
Listen to them open up.
He should be coming back any second. Those are long legs.
Yeah, he got out of Dodge, Jerry. It's just this irrational obsession with these tires. You can see he's a big fellow. And you got to give the researchers credit for being clever, and finding out exactly what it was that that would get a provoke a reaction from them. If you can't get them to move around or do anything, then you can't film them.
That's true.
There I am. I went there and stood by the fence, and of course I was about 10 years later.
Now, when was this done? You said back in the 90s?
The early 2000s, from 2000 to 2004. I'm not sure exactly when the fence climber was filmed. Sometime during that time.
Okay.
At the time that I got the films to study, I didn't know who shot them. They were brought to me in a plastic tub, and they were about 50 videos. They were VHS cassette. They were 6 hour long cassettes, and when you're talking about watching a video where nothing's happening for hours, trying to see if if there's 30 seconds worth of Bigfoot activity on it, that's a pretty tall task. Uh, I, I was up for it for the most part because I had back surgery, and I was off work, so I just set it up. But I may have missed some of them. I don't know. There were occasions when I had to leave, but
Okay, so these were shot and sent to you. You weren't involved with the actual shooting.
right, they were not sent to me by the researchers, though. They were a third party had arranged to get these VHS tapes and sent to me because they thought it was worth having me look at them. And I'll have to agree that was a good decision. The thing about Bigfoot stuff like this, it can languish for years.
Yeah.
Number one, these guys weren't taking the videos for any kind of public consumption. It was strictly for their own edification, and they probably would not have done it. But this particular gentleman was able to use his influence with the man and lady that owned the farm, and get the copy. Well, they weren't copies; they were VHS tapes. To me, I made copies. I digitized them, and I still have them, for reference. Later on, I found out who the people were, and I was able to talk to them. And to this day, they seem to be solid people.
Okay. What's going on now on that property? Are you still in touch with them?
No, no. The lady remarried, and her husband was not agreeable to having anyone out there. So it's kind of dead in the water. It's still a good place to go, and not far from there is some public land, and for anyone who wanted to go give that a try, that's still available. So it's. I went there. I brought her VHS tapes back to her, and I spent the weekend there, and I saw plenty to convince me that there was still a lot of activity. And it's just it's just things have changed with her. When her husband died, she wasn't particularly comfortable at all with Bigfoot being on their property.
Okay.
She would cook food, and her husband would take it out there and leave it for him. But she personally was not that comfortable. So that's kind of the way it was. And
How
when
much
she
property was it?
do what?
How much property was it?
I think they had about 50 acres, but it was surrounded by lots of property. I think the Bigfoot actually came from some National Guard land, training land.
Okay.
And right, they were just occasional visitors through their property until these researchers began to to use their wiles to try to attract them, and using food and stimulus. And over 4 years, they got to where he told me that you could stand there and hear the Bigfoot coming by listening to progressive dogs barking as they made their way, you know, over there. And they came over there expecting something. There was always something there for them, either food or some kind of what they call a setup, where they had figured out that Bigfoot liked this particular thing or like that. Um, they would put food in a ice chest, and oh Lord, I've got some really good audio at night when they took this ice chest and put it inside of an enclosure where they couldn't get to it. I'm telling you, they got really upset. And some of the best audio that I've ever heard. Real close up, so close that it would nearly make your speakers jump off the desk.
Really?
And when I heard it for the first time, it just shocked me. And it was trying to get to that food, and they had jammed old pieces of tin to make this enclosure, and it picked up one of those old pieces of tin and wiggled it back and forth. You know how metallic tin or make that little sound. I think I could probably play this for you. Hold on.
Yeah, please do.
Let me find it here. I've got a home theater type speakers on my PC, so it it's pretty good fidelity. Hold on here. Well, I've got a lot of hard drives, so I have to figure out which one I got it on. Hold on. It's been a while.
You're fine.
All right, there it is.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to just play the video and you can listen to the audio. Let me turn it up just a little bit. And this when I first saw it, it was labeled woo woo on the back of the cassette. And I thought, well, I don't know what I'm listening to, but it sounds like something an ape would do, woo woo, woo woo. Mm-hmm. But that's not what it sounded like at all. I listened to it.
Okay.
That was malfunctioning. Yeah, something going on. Let me play one of the audio files. He's trying to get to this food.
Wow.
Listen to him rattle the tin.
Oh, wow.
Then he walks off. That's about it for the vocalizations, but they're very powerful. And in that last little segment there, he went from a very high octave on down to a very low octave, and just a sliding scale.
Now, have you been able to compare that to other known animals?
No. To be honest with you, I haven't. I don't know what would produce that. Uh, I'm not an expert on those kinds of things, and I was really shocked when I heard this because I expected it to be something off in the distance going woo woo.
Yes,
You know?
that is really cool. We got
Yeah.
a question for you, Mr. Dontre. Yeah, question for MK. What is the best video evidence that you feel you have seen?
Well, there's a lot of them that I like, but the Patterson film is still hard to beat. It's still kind of the gold standard. But there's some others, that are pretty good as well. This fence climber. There's one called Whitey's Run that came from the same people.
I'm about to. I've got that one loaded up. It's just a short one where you're breaking down where the white one goes through the creek. Is it okay to share that one?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So, because I've got it queued up here to play. So let's watch it real quick. And kind of talk about what's going on if you don't mind.
Okay, you see in the upper left-hand corner, it's off in the distance, and he comes across from left to right, but he begins, I call it a run sequence. He begins it on all fours, and he runs, well, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 yards on all fours, and then he back up on two legs, and he goes across the field down into this creek. Which I have stood in this creek, and it's a very deep, hard to cross creek, and he goes in and out so fast, and then up the other side, and crossing the field, he looks like he's riding a bicycle. He's got, this funny kind of gyration to his legs, and some of the early critics of this little clip here were saying that he was on a bicycle, but I looked at it forensically, and there is nothing under him.
No.
And then other people said that he crossed a bridge, which there is no bridge there. I've been there. So, I don't know what some people want an explanation, and some people want it explained away. And explaining it away is not how you get to the bottom of something. You look for the explanation.
Yeah.
The one that tells you, exactly what's going on and why you're seeing what you're seeing. That's just the white Bigfoot that's in several of the films from that, in that area. And when I say white, he's probably not white. He's probably just light colored, kind of gray.
He looks white.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, in this particular video right here, it's on night shot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now another interesting one that came from out of here, and I might can pull it up. I'd have to find it. Is the one where it's believed that a couple of them are fighting, and then Big Boy steps out to break it up.
Right. I call that Tall Paul.
Tall Paul.
Tall Paul. Yeah. The altercation video called it. And I refer to him as Tall Paul.
Okay. Do you know what was going on there? Was anybody able to get out in that area that it supposedly happened? Because you would think creatures as big as those, if they were fighting that ferociously and violently, there would have been some evidence.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of evidence. This once again, they're fighting over the tires, and these two are at each other, and then the big one steps out and breaks it up, and they tear out running from him together. They run away from him and go around the other side of the building, and then he comes out and kind of steps out and looks back across the woods, and I've stood right there. I didn't come to be a fraction of his height. Just I was just a little mini thing, and he would towered over me.
Yeah.
So to the point where it couldn't be explained by perspective. It had to be an actual tall individual.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers and stuff like that. The only complaint I've ever had about that one was the distance. How far away it seemed.
Well,
Here it is. Now go ahead.
oh, you go ahead. We'll watch it.
I don't know at what point
There it is.
it's going to pick up and where you can actually see like how far into the video the action usually comes. I wasn't able to prep it. You can definitely tell that's VHS.
This was done into a mirror.
That's right.
Yeah, so you're looking into a mirror. I flipped it to make it correct. It was reversed. This was the very same camera that set up that they filmed the fence climber with.
Okay. And I wonder how they came up with the idea to turn the mirror to shoot into a mirror, and I wonder why that set their mind at ease. Because you'd still think they'd be able to see the camera. Are they smart enough to know that it's not facing them?
I don't know. I have no idea. What was on their minds about that, but it seemed to work. There's a number of really good videos that were all shot into a mirror. Eventually, the mirror they broke the mirror.
Okay.
It was one of those big dresser type mirrors, and they broke it, busted it to a jillion pieces.
Yeah, I don't know if anything's going on with this video or not. Looks like it's just sitting still, ain't it? But it's rolling.
They may just move it forward or something. There they go. I saw them.
Okay. Yeah.
See the dark one and the white one?
Yeah.
Now they're pretty good size Sasquatch. I mean, I've seen them in other videos, but watch when this big one steps out. I may not have it. I split it up into two parts. You see why I call it the altercation video?
Yeah.
They were just going at it, and I've had all kinds of people weigh in on it. Some of them said it was two dogs going at it. I don't mind people. I mean, you have an opinion, let's hear it. It's
Yeah.
I report on the video. I report what's on it, and I'll tell you what I think, having been there. But I don't think we're all interested in the facts. We don't want it to be what it's not, and we don't want it to not be what it is.
Exactly.
and I just kind of scrubbed it back and forth. It was just one push actually in the video.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask. This isn't real time because this looks.
No, it's scrubbed. I moved the scrubber back and forth where it could
Yeah.
be oscillate. See where they ran? See where they ran by that bush? See
Yeah.
them right at the end of my finger there. Then that's when Tall Paul came out. They were running from him.
Wow.
There he is. There he is.
Oh my God.
Well, watch him close because it's some just some interference or something there, and then when he clears up, he's even taller.
It definitely looks like something massive steps out.
When I stood there at that same place, I was just watching. Now watch him. See him? I wasn't like up to his waist.
You could actually there at that one scene, you could see legs parting.
Yeah, he drug one leg as if he were trying to wipe out tracks. You know how you would swipe your leg back and forth over it?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like to me. Which is what I was telling you earlier about. If you were to create suits, you would have to have a lot of different suits to explain the goings on. Because you'd have to have a big, giant, tall one for this guy, and a white one, and a dark one, and a little bitty one for the tree one climbing the tree. And then you'd have to have a little fella climb the tree in the suit, and it just see his legs.
Yeah.
And like I said, this was done by security cameras of the day, and they weren't any 4K cameras even available to the public back then. This is what they could afford.
And is that the smaller one? Yeah, that's back to the fighting.
Yes, back to the fighting. And once again, that's all over a set of tires that they had become just obsessed with. And they tore down a bodock tree. You know what a bodock, a boardiark tree, it's one of the hardest woods there is. It will dull a chainsaw to try to cut it. And they chained those tires to that tree, and it took a good while, but they broke that tree down and got those tires, which I have very clear pictures. They took a lot of still photos, which I have. And they just made off with the tires. But thing about it was the tires, they kept them for a little while and then brought them back. I guess they enjoyed the stimulation and everything.
Wow.
I saw one of the trees that they had broken over, still there after 10 years. I saw enough stuff there that I knew that they had not only had been there, but it was still some recent activity there. And I didn't want to make too much of it because I knew the lady didn't like it and she was afraid of them. So I didn't want to make too much of it, but I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. In my opinion, it's really, really, really impressive stuff. You go back to the date and time, the late 90s, early 2000s. We didn't have the technology that we do now. And this is what you would expect to see, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, about that, with that type of equipment. you know, the security cameras of the day, if you got beyond a certain distance, they would begin to get quite fuzzy. They just didn't have the pixels, and uh, so that's just they ran lots and lots of wire back to a central recording device, you know,
Yeah.
and they would the researchers would go home after the weekend and leave it, and then the farmer would come home and take the tape out and then watch it and then flip it over or put another tape in, whichever he had time to do. Uh, and they would try to keep it going that way. And I'm sure there's plenty on those cassettes that I might have missed because I just could not stare for hours at a time at an unchanging scene without some distractions. You know, I did the
Yeah.
best I could. There's other. I got another one that that's called. I call it hairy legs at the ice chest, and they had put the camera, mounted it in a tree, looking down at this ice chest on a picnic table, and it had food in the ice chest, and the camera had night shot with a infrared light, and the it illuminated the limbs on the trees, kind of over illuminated them, and made the iris close a little bit. But what I saw, I heard it first, and then I heard a voice, and it was, I guess he assumed it was the voice of the Bigfoot. And then he comes up to that table, and I had to look close, but when I looked real close, I realized that he was walking backwards. He was walking heel first.
Huh.
And he walked, he could see that infrared light. And he reached out into the light cone and got the ice chest and slid it into the shadows. And I could see his legs from about his thighs down, and they were definitely hairy. And he said some things. Uh, let me. You want me to play them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, hold on here. Let me get out of this file. All right, there's a folder.
Real quick, I had a question from Mr. Duffy. Has MK ever seen one with your naked eye?
I have, but I didn't know it. I filmed one in Bluff Creek, and I saw it. I found it on the film, but I didn't consciously see it with my eyes.
Wow.
I was looking through a little small viewfinder,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't very far. It was on the edge of the creek, right in front of me. It was I was real. How you say, it was anticlimactic to find it years later on your video. I didn't think I had any Bigfoot on there, but we had seen a lot of Bigfoot sign, and then to find it on there, it was, you know, I looked at him. I said, "Gosh, you know, I wish I had known this then."
Yeah.
Not. It was 7 years later that I found it. Let me see. Hair legs at the ice chest. Okay, I got the audio. Here's the audio. Here we go. I guess. 'Cause, 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 Okay, that right there, that's him sliding the ice chest around. I got this amplified. He's sliding the ice chest around. He spins it around and pulls it back across the picnic table into the shadows. So I feel fairly certain that he knew where that light cone was. You know, even though it's invisible to our eyes, he seemed to know exactly where it was. So let me tell you something.
I mean, that's really, really interesting. I mean, doesn't it sound to you kind of sound like the Sierra sounds a little bit?
It's kind of bass sound with a kind of a growl or a guttural sound. There's a word that I keep hearing, and if I'm hearing it right, I can reproduce it. It's Enoch. When he first comes on, he says Enoch, which I don't really know if that has any relationship to, the biblical Enoch. Probably not, but it may one of a word or a sound that they use that sounds similar. Listen to it again. Enoch, yeah. And I don't know that he got the food out. I really can't tell because he took it into the darkness, and they sat there and kind of bantered back and forth. It was like two of them, and then they left.
No.
Which how do you know what's on the mind of a Bigfoot?
Yeah.
I don't think that this was a hoax. Not from what I could see of the video when I could see the legs. I don't think that was a hoax. I think it just is what it is. They were successful in getting this activity moved over to where their farm was. They primarily lived over on that National Guard property at public as well. It's off limits to the public. No hunting, anything like that. I think it's like 15,000 acres. But they took a little bit of sign and realized that they were coming across the place occasionally, and they just started working on them and using food and using stimulus. And got the Bigfoot looked so forward to all of that whenever they got up from sleeping, they immediately came back. That's first place they headed. So it's 4 years of that. They were pretty much acclimatized, to that. It's a remarkable story, but like I said, these guys never intended for it to be anybody's story other than their own.
This is the second time this question's been asked, and I did want to get your opinion on it. Something that fairly new, like within the last couple of days, that has happened. What is your thoughts on Dr. Mira Mayer's environmental DNA samples from Kentucky that were examined at UCLA that showed trace DNA of chimpanzee?
I don't know what to think of that.
Have you heard about this?
Uh, actually I haven't heard of it. That's
I think it
news to me.
just broke yesterday. A buddy of mine, yesterday or the day before, a buddy of mine texted me and told me about it. Said I needed to get on and go live right now to talk about it. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I don't know anything about it, but I'm like you. I don't know what to make of that.
Well, it's do so at your own peril is all I can say. Uh, it's a TV show, and
True.
when you got TV shows, they're in need of uh, of something to highlight or
Yeah, they're
promote.
not going to stay on TV very long if
If they
they don't
don't,
get
that's
something.
right. That's correct. And if it's a chimpanzee, chimpanzees are easy to find. If it's a Bigfoot, they're not so easy. You heard this one just then, and he could utter the word Enoch. So chimpanzee can't utter any words. So it's apples and oranges, even though they both may be primates. Uh, one's a lot better, a lot smarter. Uh, I just feel like in my heart and my mind that that it's probably not Bigfoot related. That if it's true, then it's probably a chimpanzee out there somewhere, or maybe somebody had one. But I can always be wrong. But
Yeah,
I've just learned over the years that don't get too high and don't get too low.
yeah.
Uh,
Uh, uh, we're coming up on an hour. We're right here at it. What do you have anything new going on with you, MK? Anything you'd like to talk about?
well, I mean, I get stuff to look at all the time, and I look at videos, uh, and most of the time they're distant, you know, or fuzzy or that type of thing. But occasionally I get something that's not, and I try to do my best job in putting. People send it to me, and I want to put it in its best form for them, so they can get a good look at it. It's not easy to take a Bigfoot video. Bigfoot don't pose for anybody, and the Patterson film is more the exception than the rule. But there's some other stuff as well. Bigfoot research is kind of is smattered with high strangeness. Some weird stuff goes on, and to me, that's pretty interesting as well. Somebody's got something strange or weird on their place, and they keep finding it, and it starts to look like. I'll show you something if I can use the camera on the. Here's something right here. Hold on just a minute.
Okay.
Let me see if I can move this around. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
You see, there's two wings, and the body of the bird is been eaten, but the two wings are, and it was laid over a limb,
Huh.
and it's 7 feet off the ground.
Wow.
That's weird.
It is weird.
So, did a Bigfoot do it? Don't know.
Yeah, can't say.
Could a Bigfoot do it? Yep. So you got something weird on your place. That could be a Bigfoot. A Bigfoot can hang something up 7 feet off the ground, and I happen to know that they will eat a bird because I've read enough reports of that. So yeah, that's to me, that's all. It all fits into the whole picture.
Yeah.
Worth looking into. So if that were my place that had this on it, I'd be setting up camera traps and whatever else I could, or figuring out some way try to get it to move about, so that you could get a picture or a video of it.
Yeah, we one of my areas, our areas down here in East Tennessee, where I'm at. Another one of my buddies, a member of our group, Mr. Daryl Owen. He and I were out a couple months ago and found a good sized clump of hair hanging from a limb that was little over 7 feet in the air, over a foot over my head. How does a clump of hair get up there? I don't know.
Good question. Good question.
We collected the hair, haven't sent it anywhere yet. Don't know what to do with it. I want to be careful.
Well, I've got a microscope. If you want me to look at it, you can send it here. I'll give you a. What I usually do is take really good pictures and send them back to you. Let you look at the pictures and kind of make up your own mind. I'll tell you what I think, but it's you're talking about something that's it's very difficult to cover all your bases when on Bigfoot evidence, because it's rare and scant, and not a lot of people examine, for instance, hairs. Uh, we have probably 4 or 5 different types of hairs on us, and I assume a Bigfoot does too.
Yeah.
So if it were, this Bigfoot hair may have come from off the leg, the next one might have come from under the armpit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's difficult to write it in or write it off. I'd say if it's 7 feet off the ground, it's got to be a candidate for that. And everybody's looking for something that's a gold standard and it can't be disputed, and that's kind of what we're all looking for. If you have to train yourself.
Yeah.
So I've looked at enough hairs that I've gotten some expertise, but by no means have I looked at all hairs.
Yeah.
And, from even individuals, different parts of their body, even. But I would say that you have to look at the whole picture. Is there a history of Bigfoot activity on the place? If it is, then that hair sample means a lot more.
Yeah.
It didn't get there by itself.
I know. I've casted a couple tracks in that area. It's a really good location. We're excited about it. That's where a lot of our main focus has been this year. Anyway, yeah, we're not done with the area.
Oh no, I know y'all will do a good job. You just pay attention. Pay attention and try not to let things slip by you. Just a good observations skills.
Yeah.
That you just do not know who's going to find that gold standard. That's gonna put it in the books. It's a wide open field, and you can be an impactor. You can impact this field, and just you train yourself to watch and to be observant. You never know.
Yeah. Well, MK, I can't thank you enough, buddy, for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
This has really been one of my favorite shows that I've done so far, and I'm very appreciative, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I hope that you will have a good evening, sir, and I'll be in touch with you about getting you some of that hair for you to look at, if you don't mind.
All right, I'll be happy to look at it. I'll take some good pictures. Thank you.
Have a good evening. All right, guys. How about that? And I'm being serious now when I say this. That might be my favorite episode that I have ever done. Been looking forward to having him on, and got to go over a couple of the videos that I've really come to enjoy since I've been doing this, and he even shared some audio with us. So yeah, what's not to like about this one. Obviously, there are some people that aren't a fan, and that's fine. We'll accept everybody's opinion, and as long as they're not being, belligerent or openly disrespectful or anything like that, you can share your opinion on here. That's fine. But it's not the way I feel. It really isn't. And the person tonight that expressed those opinions is a buddy of mine. He is. I've had him on the show. I've done other shows with him. I like him. I do. We don't live far from each other, and we have plans to get out in the woods and hang out, and that's not going to change. But yeah, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. My opinion is I like MK Davis. I am a fan, whether I'm supposed to be or not. I am. All right, guys. All of that being said, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Really, really good show. I enjoyed it. Maybe we'll get Walls back one of these days. Maybe. I don't know. We seem to do okay without him. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. I sure did. Hope that everyone is safe. And guys, take care of each other. Be good to each other. See you next time.